We're going to go ahead and call our Bryan County Board of Commissioners April 11th, 2023 meeting to order, please. If you please rise, we'll do an invocation and pledge of allegiance. If you bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for all the many blessings, Lord. Be with us tonight as we have our meeting and represent our people, the citizens of Bryan County, Lord. And just, again, we want a special prayer for our first responders, firefighters, and EMTs in our community. I want to thank you for all our staff members for the jobs they're doing during this trying time, busy time of year, busy time, Lord. And just, again, thank you for everything you've done for us and bless this meeting. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Pledge, say pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any guests here, any elected officials? Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. We appreciate y'all showing up, and folks are watching online, I'm sure. So I appreciate that. And then first, we need the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda with the exception of removing County Administrator item number 5, as well as
11.
Item number 11.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay. Have a motion to approve with those two items removed.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda with the two items removed from the list, please.
I'll second.
Second. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. All right, opposed, okay. All right, we need approval for our March 2023 meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the March 2023 meeting minutes as submitted.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, okay, that motion carries. All right, we are down to, we need the approval of our consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. And now we're going to do a special presentation. It's National Crime Victims Week, and I have a proclamation I would like to read and present. I'll come down here and do it. Who's going to accept? You're going to accept. This proclamation, whereas the term victim is more than just a label and has a legal standing and the protections that go along with it, whereas Crime Victims' Rights Acts passed here in Georgia and at the federal level guarantee victims the right to meaningfully participate and use their voice in the criminal justice process. Whereas victim services provide advocates, law enforcement officers, attorneys, and other allied professionals can help survivors find their justice by enforcing these rights. Whereas the right to provide an impact statement ensures the victim's voices are considered in court during the sentencing and when applicable restitution processes. Whereas including and elevating the voices of survivors makes certain they are heard and seen and creates a path of forging and sustaining community trust. Whereas engaging survivors creates responses and services that are credible, meaningful, and centered on individual needs. Whereas survivors' lived experience can serve as a catalyst for implementing innovative programs, shifting existing programs in new directions, and changing policies or practices that prevent survivors from accessing services or pursuing justice. Whereas National Crime Victims' Rights Week provides an opportunity to recommit to listening to crime survivors in every space where decisions are made that could impact them. And whereas Bryan County is hereby dedicated to amplifying the voices of survivors and creating an environment where survivors can or have the confidence that they will be heard, believed, and supported. Now, therefore, I, as chairman of the Bryan County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the week of April 23rd through the 29th, 2023 as Crime Victims' Rights Week, reaffirming the county's commitment to creating a victim service and criminal justice response that assists all victims of crime during Crime Victims' Rights Week and throughout the year, and expressing our sincere gratitude appreciation for those community members, victim service providers, and criminal justice professionals who are committed to improving our response to all victims of crime so that they may find relevant assistance, support, justice, and peace. All right.
Speak real quick.
Yes, yes, you may. And thank y'all for coming to.
Good afternoon, council. Thank you so much for doing this on National Crime Victims' Rights Week proclamation and allowing us, as well as Helen's Haven, to be here with you tonight. I'm Chandra Cox, Executive Director for Tri-County Protective Agency, and we are the local domestic violence organization serving men, women, and children experiencing domestic violence. Although we are housed in Liberty County, we serve Bryan, Liberty, Long, Tattnall, and Evans counties. Tri-County is a 12-bed domestic violence shelter for women and children. We do legal advocacy, have a children's program, and do community outreach. I'm also going to speak for Terry from Helen's Haven, who wasn't feeling well. Helen's Haven serves the same area geographically we do, with the inclusion of McIntosh County. And it is the local child advocacy center, doing forensic interviews, child counseling, and parenting classes. But thank you so much for the proclamation and all y'all do for us through LVAP, and we greatly appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for coming tonight.
you all.
Can I get a quick picture with my staff and you?
Yeah,
real quick?
that'd be fine.
Ron said he's cold. Ron said he's cold. Truck down, dump truck. Yeah, tavern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can get that with the game.
Can we?
Yeah, you want to stand up and get it?
No, can we give you revenues?
I was giving you rabbit ears.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Hold on. You get in there too, man. Right on your smile face.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, ladies.
Y'all very much for what y'all do.
He called me. How to dress.
Sorry. All right, we are down to our public hearing, so we'll take a motion to close this meeting and open up our public hearing. Motion to close this meeting, open a public hearing, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close this meeting and open a public hearing.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're now public meeting. First up, Virginia Spell, second reading of an ordinance to rezone 4.042 acres, portion of parcel 024-013.
Yeah, this is the second reading of an ordinance to amend the zoning map for property at 2381 Bill Futch Road, PIN number 0240013. Miss Virginia Spell is requesting to rezone approximately 4 acres of a 21-acre property from the A5 agricultural district to the RR 2.5 rural residential zoning. The applicant plans to subdivide the rezoned property with the remaining acreage for an existing house. This is on the north end. Let's see where it's at. It's at the corner of Bill Futch Road and Page Road. Current zoning. And that's what the subdivision will look like. And then some pictures here. Do y'all have any
Could you
questions?
go back to that map real quick, just to make sure everybody sees it right there? Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions?
No questions.
No questions? If anybody is the applicant here wish to speak, or anybody to speak for or against this? Okay. Okay, all right. Next up is Johnny Young, second reading of an ordinance to rezone 6.12 acres, parcel 0601-123.
So this is the second reading of an ordinance to rezone a piece of property. It's a little over 6 acres from RR1 to A5. You can see the property highlighted there. The applicant is requesting this as part of the related conditional use after this one for an animal boarding facility, as A5 zoning is required for that. And planning and zoning did recommend approval of it as it's consistent with the surrounding zoning and shouldn't have an impact on any neighboring properties in terms of the rezoning. Are there any questions about that one?
Anybody have any questions?
No.
Anybody here in the audience wish to speak for or against? Yes, if, sir, if you'd get up and state your, are you the applicant? You're the applicant? Let's let the applicant speak first, and we'll let you speak, so see what, they might answer your questions.
Would you like me to present the conditional use first and then?
Yes,
discuss?
please.
Okay. And so the next one is the related conditional use on that same property for an animal boarding facility. It's proposed to be a home service business. The applicant does live on the property, and here are some images of the building that exists that they're proposing to use. In terms of the requirements for a home service business, they are proposing to have that kennel building along with the fenced dog runs in the area for a maximum of 14 dogs at a time. So they will be open from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. by appointment for the drop-offs and pickups, and dogs will only be outside at scheduled times during the day. In terms of the conditions for this use, and you can see the site plan there, there is a 30-foot buffer requirement for kennel facilities. This isn't met in this case as the existing building is only about 22.5 feet from the property line. However, this portion of the building is for the owner's personal dogs, so will not be used for the kennel use. And there is space along the remainder of the property to provide a planted buffer. However, the applicant's not proposing to plant anything additional and instead install a 6-foot fence. And the adjacent neighbor also indicated they use the cleared area for their property access, so prefer it not be planted. And you can see that adjacent neighbor in that picture there. Outdoor exercise areas are required to be set back 75 feet from property lines and have a 200-foot setback from residences. This is not met as well. The closest run is about 68 feet, and it is 113 feet from that residence you see there. However, the applicant did provide a petition from their neighboring properties saying that they support the use of the property. The use is compatible with the area as it's a rural character. They will still live there, so they'll be able to address any concerns rather quickly, and there's no additional development proposed on the site. Staff originally recommended approval with conditions regarding buffer plantings and moving the animal run to meet the requirements. However, planning and zoning recommended it as proposed with no conditions for approval. And you can see a close-up there of the proposed use. And I can answer any questions you have on that one.
So on the conditional use, planning zone.
Recommended approval with no conditions, so as exists.
Okay. Okay. Anybody have any questions here? Okay.
Is, originally when this started, it was gonna be a boarding and possibly grooming, and I know the owner decided not to do the grooming.
That's correct.
In the event that this is approved and the grooming comes back later on, what are the plans?
He would have to come to us and we would review it and see if that would require an additional public review or what the process would be for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, if the applicant would like to come, wish to speak, if you'd state your name and we'll give you 4 minutes to speak. If you need that.
Scott Allison with Coleman Company. Obviously, we have no objection or any comments regarding the rezoning, but did want to touch on some of what was described during the Planning Commission public hearing regarding the conditions. Obviously, you saw where they recommended approval with none. What we outlined was it's an existing accessory structure, and due to its physical location and where Mr. Young has located the runs and to be in the rear of the structure and one off to the front, you know, in order to push these these outdoor airing yards off to meet the requirements would be in the woods adjacent to this property. I have some exhibits I can share for you quickly. I know I've only got 4 minutes, but you can see in this exhibit that if we were to push out to meet the requirements, or not required for the condition, it puts the outdoor airing yards into a space that's off to the property that's heavily wooded right now. It's also pretty wet. It also detaches the areas where they can let the dogs out from the structure. You can see in the photos right now where they're located, you have the ability to get the small breed dogs out almost in a kind of a sally port type of arrangement out the front, and also again out the rear for larger breed dogs. If you separated that and push it out away from the building, that prevents the ability to just bring them out either by leash or let them out via there's some dog boards and other avenues in which they can exit the facility. You'd have to, run the risk of them getting out and running loose. Again, it also would require some extensive work to put them and clear that area out to the side. So what we were requesting and the Planning Commission recommended was to relieve that condition. We did also include a 6-foot fence to try to mitigate some of the buffer requirements. As Sarah mentioned, the neighboring property owner accesses their property where adjacent to this building. You can see in one of the photos of how she comes down and parks, limiting what we can really plant in there. It also is where Mr. Young accesses the rear of his property. So we've tried to accommodate that. Obviously, it's buffered by the area that is for his personal dog's use. So the actual boarding facilities, outdoor areas are separated by that, as well as the portion of the building that's used for storage and personal use.
Okay.
Did you guys previously have a written letter of support from the neighbor, if I recall?
Yes, so Mr. Young packed that together when we submitted our application. So you have within your packet or I'm not sure how you guys have it, it might be digitally, but we have a support letter from all the surrounding properties that abut this piece of property.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, sir, if anybody else would like to speak for or against this project? Yes, sir, if you'll just come up and state your name, and we'll give you 4 minutes to speak.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is John Baggett. I live at 282 Fox Road, which is just across the street from this property. A couple of things I'd like to address. First of all, Rabbit Hill Road used to be, when I moved there in 2004, was one way out to where it connects with 144 now. They made it both ways and closed the other end off. It was barely 18 feet wide. If you pass a commercial vehicle, you got to pull over. Somebody's got to pull over. I've got 2 photos here of Rabbit Hill Road. This is a blind curve. This is in direction going out, and this is coming in. You see that curve. You see the mailbox is right on the road. When it really came to my attention is when COVID hit and you had to pass an Amazon van or a UPS van, and they don't slow down for that curve, not at all. I would love to see that addressed before another commercial business opens up and creates more traffic. It's basically, I have a business myself, but it's not home-based business. But I would like to see, it's basically a residential neighborhood. And I'd like to see that, Fox Road is narrower than Rabbit Hill, but I'd like to see that addressed or considered before we have another business that brings in a lot of traffic.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak for or against? And we're going to go through each of these and open our meeting back up to vote on these. So next up is Byron Lewis's Rooster and Bar conditional use for an accessory use to a tavern, parcel 0261-008.
Okay, so this request is by the applicant Byron Lewis. Property is located at 6930 Highway 20. And again, the request is for the conditional use to add an accessory structure for the existing tavern. So the property is located in the north end of Bryan County off of Highway 280. It consists of 1 acre that fronts on Highway 280. It is zoned B1 commercial. It was rezoned in December of 2008 by the Board of Commissioners. And the purpose of that rezoning in 2008 was to be able to subdivide out that 1 acre parcel that the existing tavern was sitting on in order to get it properly zoned, because at the time it was non-conforming, located in a residential district. So you can see on today's zoning map that B1 district that encompasses that 1 acre, surrounded by the RR1 rural residential zoning district around it. Now, this is a recent survey that we had Mr. Lewis have completed for us so that we could determine the existing conditions of the site. So this survey is going to show that 1 acre parcel that was rezoned by the commission in 2008. And behind it, you're going to see an additional parcel that is also owned by Mr. Lewis that has a house and some additional accessory structures on it. From the survey that you can see here, you can see that the existing tavern, which we believe was built in the 1960s, is currently non-conforming to the current B1 zoning district standards as it encroaches into the required 75-foot setback. I've also provided some pictures of the existing tavern just to help everybody get oriented with the site that we're looking at. So this shows a view from Highway 280. A little further back, you'll see it, and off to the side, you'll see a grassy area that is also part of that 1 acre tract. Some additional views will show that grassy area from a different angle where you can see some wheel stops, indicating that that area has been used for some overflow parking. And again, looking from that 1 acre tract onto that parcel that is also owned by Mr. Lewis, you'll see the existing residential structure that's situated in the rear. Now, this was the markup that we helped prepare with Mr. Lewis based off of his original concept that he submitted to us with his conditional use application. So in the original application materials, it was proposed for a 40 by 60 pole barn amounting to about 2,400 square feet. So that was depicted on this concept plan to show the impact to that front setback if this structure was placed in line with the existing tavern, which is what Mr. Lewis is proposing. We also had Mr. Lewis provide some example photos of the pole barn that he had intended for this use. And so following the Planning and Zoning Commission, he did provide us with these sample photos so that we can incorporate that into our presentation this evening. So we are looking at a pre-manufactured structure, just a typical pole barn. Now, after the Planning and Zoning Commission, because I should mention that staff did recommend denial. So that was what was presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission. We took our concerns forward, noting the non-conforming situation of the site. We do know that the site is non-conforming with the building location and the setback. We also know that it's non-conforming due to current parking requirements. So if required today, a tavern use of this size would require 37 parking spaces. At best, I think we're seeing 10 up at the front, and then we know that overflow parking is having to occur in the grassy area in order to accommodate just the existing uses on site. And with those concerns that were raised to the Planning and Zoning Commission, they did also recommend denial. Following that, Mr. Lewis did come forward and said that he could reduce the pole barn. So he is now proposing a 38 by 30 pole barn amounting to 1,140 square feet. So we took that new information and we overlaid it to the best of our abilities using some GIS and aerial mapping to kind of show the impact of what that reduced structure would show on the site. Now, the biggest concerns that we originally highlighted had to do with the pole barn extending over a gravel area off to the side, which you could tell had been used to maneuver around the site and potentially provide access to that grassy overflow parking area. Even with the reduced structure, we know that that's still going to have some impact and could potentially still impact circulation on the site. So I think we do have Mr. Lewis here this evening, so maybe he can address some additional concerns there might be to parking or how vehicles are going to access that overflow area. But even aside from that, with those concerns, I still just want to highlight the part of this request that's related to the placement of the structure itself, because it is encroaching into front setbacks. And so with the conditional use request, there also has to be considered that variance. And anytime we're talking about granting somebody a variance to the zoning standards and allowing them to deviate from what would be required, the applicant has to demonstrate that there is an unnecessary hardship presented. And so we usually look at those type of requests as being the last resort. So are there any other means or any other ways that what they're wanting to do can be accommodated without having to deviate or reduce the standards of the zoning district? And in staff's finding and in the staff report where we specifically discuss the variance request, you'll see that staff did not find a hardship in order to support that. So even by reducing the structure, we know it's still going to encroach in the setback. That variance still has to be considered, and staff will still be recommending denial for that. So again, I think Mr. Lewis is here this evening, but I'm available if you have any other questions for staff.
Okay, anybody have any questions for me? Okay.
Thank you.
If the applicant is here, yes, if you want to speak, sir, we'll give you, just state your name for the record, please, and we'll give you 4 minutes to speak.
My name is Bryan Lewis. I go by the name of Ron. And me and my wife are the owner of the Rooster's Barn, and we wanted to put a pole barn there for, you know, for outdoor activities where there's fundraisers. You know, with the construction going on, we're gonna have a food truck where they could eat outside, so they'll bring the dirt and all that inside. We just want to bring something to North Bryan that we don't have. That place has a pretty sordid history, and we've gone far and beyond to alleviate some of that. We spent a great deal of money on redesigning it, rebuilding it. We've done everything that planning and zoning asked us. We spent a lot of money on, you know, getting a new plat, just doing everything we could do. And I apologize for not being at the other meeting, but I was with COVID and I didn't think nobody wanted me to show up for that one. So I chose not to. We did reduce the structure where it stays within the footprint or the line of the building. We took 10 feet off the sides and took 22 feet off the length of it to help with our parking. They had concerns about the ingress and egress of the structures in back. We made a private drive for that. And then, you know, other than that, that's all we've done. We just want to have an opportunity to have something new on our end of the county. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Mr. Lewis, is there any other area on that property that you could do that structure or have the food trucks? Because I think that's what the hardship is with staff and the planning and zoning and myself as well. Right. I mean, I know land is precious up there and you don't. It is, it's tight. Right. It's tight. We knew when we bought it, and that's, you know, that's why we didn't mind going through things gotta be done right. I understand that completely. I'm in education, been in it for 35 years. There's really no gray area, it's black and white, you know. So we thought about moving it the other way, but then it would intrude on, I think, the house behind it. And when those people leave, I don't plan on renting it out. They lived there when I bought it. Right. And housing's very difficult up there, and I just didn't feel right asking them to leave. I just didn't. So, and going out the end there, that'll allow, you know, just a steady flow out. And if it's bad weather, which, you know, we have a lot of rain sometimes, you know, it just allows us to do a lot of things. We've had fundraisers for the schools already there. We raised $1,200 for our football team one evening, and, you know, we don't want a wild place. We don't want that. I don't. I mean, I'm too old for it, number one. I'm in education, number two. And I hope my family's pretty well thought of it on that end. And we want to keep that. It would work.
The building looks nice. It's very, very attractive from the road.
Yeah. And we still got a lot of work to do on it, but we just run out of money.
All right. Anybody else have any questions?
The structure that's behind it with the green roof, what exactly is that?
You talking about,
That little building.
Yeah, right behind the existing.
that's no longer there. We tore that down. That's something they had built, the previous owners had just built, and they were providing food services illegally, so. We tore all that down. We
So
tore
all
the
that's
slab
just
out.
big open space back
That's
there
open
now?
space now. Yeah, that's an outdated photo.
In the building that's there now, the setback is 75, supposed to be 75, and it's 40 foot off of the edge of the. That's right. So it's basically.
That's why we wanted to keep it inside the same footprint of the original structure. We don't want to get outside of that.
Well, I mean, then we got a bigger building that's in the setback, you know, only problem with that, I see.
So there, let me just, so, oh, that won't show up over there. So where that green little building, so there's nothing there, so there wouldn't be a way to put this shelter or anything behind that?
No, sir. That's where the food truck will be.
Or slide it back 30 foot where it's not in the setback anymore. And I know the existing building was there before the thing was zoned, and that's
Right.
great, it was grandfathered in, but.
Well, the issue we have with that is, you know, we wanted to be able to enter the building and exit the building covered.
Okay.
If you have outside dining or, you know,
I mean, you could have a little short breezeway or whatever. I mean, it's your facility, and you
Yes, sir.
certainly have the right to ask for however you'd like to do it. But I mean, there is to me, it looked like there is a way to accomplish it, and you could have the original size structure I think you asked for if you put it back inside the.
well, the cost of concrete, I didn't want to go that big again in here. So that made my decision a lot easier.
All right.
Well, your roof lines wouldn't, I understand what you're talking about, Doc, but your roof lines wouldn't line up either. So your front roof line would be dropping middle of the building.
What does it matter if you don't, if you separated it 20 foot and put a breezeway, you could slide that whole thing back, unless I'm just missing this completely. You slide it back 30 foot and have, and then you wouldn't be, you know, we wouldn't be approving something that's almost completely in a setback.
If I may, where the green
Won't you do it? I don't have a pointer.
That didn't make sense on me.
It won't show up right there anyway.
It's going towards you, that's why.
It's right here. We've got blocks. I mean, they're big blocks. That's where we made the private drive here. So if we come over this way, we will impede on the private drive.
Okay.
I really think it'll look really good if we go straight out the side of it. I do.
All right, any more questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we need a motion to close our public hearing and reopen our regular meeting, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we close the public hearing and we reopen our regular meeting.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, thank you. Motion passed. We'll go back and vote on these items. The first item up is Virginia Spell, the second reading of an ordinance to rezone the 4.042 acres parcel 024-013. We need a motion on that one.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the rezoning of 4.042 acres located at 2381 Bill Futch Road from A5 to RR 2.5.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. All right, the second, Johnny Young, the second reading of an ordinance to rezone 6.212 acres, parcel 0601-123.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve the rezoning of parcel 0601-123 from RR-1 to A-5.
Second.
Second. All right, any discussion on that one? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. All right, the next is the Johnny Young conditional use for an animal boarding, parcel 0601-123.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for animal boarding located at 215 Fox Road.
Second.
Second, all right. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. All right, now we're down to the item number 4, Byron Lewis Rooster barring conditional use for an accessory use to a tavern, parcel 0261-008.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for an accessory structure located at 6930 Highway 280.
A second.
Second. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, that is a 3-2. That motion carries. All right, thank you, gentlemen. We are now down to our community development non-public hearing items. Our Watergrass LLC first reading of the ordinance to amend the plan development for Watergrass subdivision, 32.6 acres, portion of parcel 057-107.
So this is the first reading for rezoning. Watergrass is proposing to remove Phase 3 of their development. And this first part is to rezone that phase of the development to A5 in order to ultimately subdivide into some large lots. This is the first reading only, so no action will be taken. The first public hearing will be April 18th, and then it will be back with you for the second reading on May 9th. Are there any questions about that one? And there's the proposed plan for it.
And they want to make it bigger lots here?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Okay. Item number 2, Watergrass LLC, first reading of ordinance to amend the zoning map for 32.6 acres, portion of parcel 057-107.
So this is for the PD amendment. They're two separate things, the rezoning and the PD amendment. And so for this, it's the same thing. They're wanting to actually remove that Phase 3 and finish it out with the two phases there. And this is the first reading. And so there's no action to be taken, but it'll be on the same schedule as the rezoning.
Okay, anybody have any questions on that one? Nope.
There was some concern about some of those adjacent property owners with flooding and water standing and
Yes.
things like that. I mean, I think it's great we're not gonna make 6,000 square foot lots, but we still need to address whatever's going on with the,
Yes, and I believe engineering has been working, and there have been some improvements already within the subdivision, and then this should also help alleviate those concerns with the larger lots that'll have less development and less clearing of trees and land.
but obviously all that'll have to come back for us to,
Yeah, there will probably need to be a few amendments to the construction plans and that sort of thing.
okay.
Okay, any other comments? All right. Item number 3, Kathleen Myers, first reading of an ordinance to amend the zoning map for 3.921 acres, parcel 028-020.
Yeah, this is a first reading of an ordinance to rezone 3.9 acres from the RR 2.5 rural residential zoning district to the RR 1 acre residential district for property at 250 Roberts Road. The applicant is planning to subdivide the property to place another home for a family member. And again, this is a first reading with no action to be taken. It will go to the Planning and Zoning Commission on April 18th, and we'll be back with you all on May the 9th. And you can see their concept plan. Y'all have any questions?
You have any questions on that one? No questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
referring back to community development, public hearing item number 4, Byron Lewis, the Rooster's Barn. I would ask the motion to be revised to include approving the conditional use and the variance. So if we can go back to that, please, Mr. Chairman, that would be good.
Okay.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve with the conditional use and the variance.
I'll
Very
second.
good.
Second. All right, any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No. Okay, all right, 3-2, that motion carries. All right, thank you. Ben, you're up, and we do need to go back and revise our agenda because we didn't add an executive session into it. If we could get that while Ben's getting ready, somebody could go back and just,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we revise the agenda to add executive session, please,
for personnel.
for personnel.
And real estate.
And
litigation.
litigation and real estate.
All right. Covered it all.
Second.
Second, all right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, okay, thank you. You covered it all there. All right, Ben, first up, the LVAP board appointments.
Item 1 is the appointment to the Bryan County Local Victims Assistance Program Advisory Board. Sheriff Mark Crow, Richmond Hill Finance Director Derek Cowart, Executive Director of Bryan County Family Connections with Wendy Futch, and Bryan County Finance Director John Rawback all currently serve on the board. All have expressed their interest in serving another 2-year term. Their term currently expired March 31st, 2023. So our recommendation is to appoint these individuals back to that LVAP advisory board.
All right. We need a motion on that, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to reappoint Sheriff Mark Crow, Derek Cowart, Wendy Fudge, and John Rawback for the LVAP Advisory Board for a 2-year term to expire on March 31st, 2025.
Second?
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, okay, thank you. And next up is item number 2, Fair Housing Month proclamation.
In preparation for the 2023 CDBG application, DCA requires the adoption of a resolution to support fair housing, establishing policy for Bryan County to encourage equal opportunity in housing for all persons regardless of race, color, and religion. This is a resolution to that effect. We did it last year with that CDBG submission. Our recommendation is to approve the fair housing resolution as presented.
Okay, we need a motion for
Mr.
that.
Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the fair housing resolution as presented.
Second.
Second. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, motion carries. All right, next, the Belfer contract, tornado rebuilding contract.
Item 3 is the tornado rebuilding contract. This is yet another contract. The county has worked with Belfer, our recovery contractors, and ACCG Insurance to mitigate the initial damage, then restore operations, and now continue to rebuild the county facilities. This contract has been negotiated and agreed upon the county, Belfer, and ACC Insurance, where the funds are coming from. Our recommendation is approve staff to sign the presented contract in the amount of $930,948.56.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion authorizing staff to sign a contract in the amount of $930,948.56 and allow Belfer to continue rebuilding Bryan County's facilities as presented.
Second.
Second. Any discussion on that? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. The intergovernmental agreement to conduct municipal elections, hold on. That was actually removed from our agenda. Item number 5 was, so we'll go down to item number 6.
This is number 4. It's a different
Oh, I'm
intergovernmental
sorry.
agreement.
I forgot Pembroke. Sorry about that.
Item
We
4
used
is,
to,
item 4 is to consider the approval of intergovernmental agreements to conduct municipal elections for the city of Pembroke. The city of Pembroke is seeking to contract Bryan County Board of Elections to conduct municipal elections. This is something they've done in years past as well. This agreement spells out the duties of the election board and the city. The election board shall, at the cost to the city, be responsible for providing all election materials, supplies, personnel, and assistance to ensure the proper and orderly conduct of municipal elections. Our recommendation is to approve the intergovernmental agreement to conduct municipal elections with the city of Pembroke.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement for the purpose of conducting municipal elections with the city of Pembroke.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we're skipping number 5 and go down to 6, consideration to participate in the opiate settlement with Teva, Allergan, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart.
Yes, background on this is numerous states and political subdivisions brought litigation against pharmaceutical distributors, pharmacy chains, and manufacturers related to the opioid epidemic. Georgia is one of the states that participated in the litigation. Local governments have the opportunity to opt in. The greater the level of subdivision of participation, the more funds ultimately will be paid out for the abatement. By opting in, Bryan County will be entitled to a portion of settlement proceeds for use in opioid abatement programs and other related matters. By approving this item, the commission will authorize the county attorney to execute and deliver the settlement agreements and all other related documents for Bryan County to opt in to the settlements.
Okay, we need a motion for that.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to authorize participation in the opioid settlement on the standards terms negotiated between the states and the settling parties.
Need a second on that?
Second.
Second. All right. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. We're down to number 7.
Item 7 is Pembroke Intergovernmental Agreement Amendment. During the 2021 SDS negotiations, Bryan County, City of Pembroke agreed that Bryan County would conduct inspections, just like they did in the years past, and issue permits on behalf of the City of Pembroke. The City of Pembroke now desires to conduct its own inspections. Accordingly, Pembroke has now requested the applicable intergovernmental agreement in SDS be amended to allow Pembroke to conduct its own inspections. Staff recommends approval to authorize this action.
Need a motion on that one?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to amend the intergovernmental agreement and service delivery strategy agreement, subject to the city staff and county staff finalizing the implementation of said changes.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you.
Item 8 is a water and sewer access agreement with the GICC CH/SJP Development LLC. The item is to approve an easement from GIC to Bryan County for access for wastewater or water and sewer facilities. Staff recommends the approval to accept the access agreement and easement for those facilities, subject to final legal and engineering review.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the access easement and easement for water and sewer facilities, subject to final legal and engineering review.
Second.
Second. All right. Any discussion on that one? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Right down to number 9, the Hospital Authority of Savannah.
Item 9, St. Joseph's Candler Health System desires to finance certain new medical facilities that it intends to build in Bryan County, including a medical campus in the city of Richmond Hill and a medical office building in the Interstate Center Industrial Development Park. SGC has requested the Hospital Authority of Savannah, Hospital Authority duly organized and existing, to issue certain revenue obligations in order to assist in providing financing for these projects. This resolution will authorize the Hospital Authority of Savannah to operate within Bryan County so it can provide the financing request by St. Joseph's Candler. Recommendation is staff recommends approval to allow the Hospital Authority of Savannah to operate within Bryan County for the purposes of assisting St. Joe's with attaining the necessary financing to construct medical facilities in Bryan County.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to allow the Hospital Authority of Savannah to operate within Bryan County, Georgia for the purposes of assisting St. Joseph's Candler in obtaining the necessary financing to construct medical facilities in Bryan County.
A second.
Second. Okay, any discussion? I will, for audience sake, this is, so we don't have to have our own hospital authority out here. It's kind of a pass-through. They will take on that for us as they build a facility out there to save us some time and money, so they're willing to do that. So we're working, that's why this is on tonight, so we can work with them. Hey, we had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. Item number 10, the approval settlement agreement with Jacqueline Sherlin.
Yes, this item is to approve the settlement agreement between Bryan County and Ms. Sherlin related to the erosion and settlement controls on the property located at 873 Seascape. Pursuant to the settlement agreement, Ms. Sherlin will pay $12,000 to settle the violations on her property. The recommendation, staff recommends the approval of the settlement agreement with Sherlin to pay that amount to the county arising out of violations of erosion and settlement control ordinances.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve a settlement agreement with Sherlin in the amount of $12,000.
You want to add that for arising violations of erosion? Last sentence, you.
We can, let's see. 12,000 to the county arising out of violations of the erosion and sedimentation control ordinances.
Thank you. Motion, we need a second. Second. All right, any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay. Motion carries. All right, we're skipping number 11 and going down to 12, Terracon WRF Special Inspections Contract Bid Award.
In conjunction with the State of Georgia and Savannah Harbor Interstate Joint Development Authority, Bryan County has committed to design and permitting construction of on-site water and sewer improvements to serve Hyundai. As part of this work, special inspections and testing services are needed for the newly constructed water reclamation facility. The contract includes special inspections and testing services for the WRLF in northern Bryan County. And basically, since this structure is declared a special facility, we've got to do these tests. Our recommendation is to consider the approval and award of the WRF Special Inspections Contract to Terracon Consultants Incorporated, in the amount of $363,170.
Okay, we need a motion for
Mr.
that.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to award the WRF Special Inspections Contract to Terracon Consultants, Inc. in the amount of $363,170 for the WRF Special Inspections Contract.
Second.
Second, any discussion on that? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ben. We're gonna have a section for public comments here before we go into our executive session. If you would get, I don't know if anybody signed up on the list or not. All right. First up is Karen Hewitt. Excuse me? All right, Tom, okay, well, it looks like y'all kind of all together there, that's the line. So Tom said, okay, okay. If you'll just come up, sir, and state your name, and we'll give you 4 minutes to speak on whatever you would like.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm M. Thomas Seaman, a college professor here in town, and I've been researching election integrity for the last year and a half, ever since the 2020 election. I'd like to speak with you about some concerns we have about that, especially about concerning Dominion voting machines, which we use here in this county. Are you familiar with what happened with Dominion voting machines in Mesa County, Colorado? Anybody familiar with that?
Not specifically.
Okay. In 2020, the Mesa County clerk thought that it was a safe and secure election and did not know until March 2021 during the Grand Junction City Commission election when one of the candidates announced that he had won before the election supervisors had even finished counting the votes. That's when the red flags went up. Now, Mesa County, Colorado is very similar to this. It's 65 Republicans, 35% Democrat, conservative Republican county. After receiving notice that a Dominion technician was coming to perform a, quote, trusted build on the voting machines, the Colorado County clerk made forensic copies of the hard drives before and after the trusted build in order to comply with federal election codes requiring all election information be preserved for 24 months. These forensic copies of the Dominion hard drives were then taken to computer experts. Dr. Walter Doherty, who is a PhD from Harvard, professor of computer science at Texas A&M University, who has published 26 research articles on computer science. Also, Jeffrey O'Donnell has a BA in computer science, president of Quest Development, who is an election specialist. So the results of the analysis of the Dominion machines, they found that scanned votes were collected into batches of usually 100. They take a picture of the ballots, and then these are put into a tabulation database. But what they discovered was not one tabulation database, but 3, and they were not identical. The analysis showed that after 25% of the votes had been scanned and tabulated and counted, suddenly a second tabulation database was created, and some, but not all of the ballots were copied into this new database. This was a selective copy. The question is who selected them or how it was done. 25,000 votes could not be validated, meaning they broke the chain of custody illegally. This should not have happened in a legitimate voting machine. Then they found out the Dominion technician who came in for the trusted build also deleted all the logs. 27,000 logs deleted illegally in Mesa County, Colorado after the 2020 election. So what they found out is out of a total of 88,430 votes cast in Mesa County, Colorado, there were 3 databases. Number one, they put 5,427 ballots, and they came in 50% for Trump and 50% for Biden. That's the first red flag. You guys know votes don't come in 50-50, right? The second database, they put 19,529 ballots, 51.4% for Trump, 48.6% for Biden. And then in database number 3, there were 54,840 ballots, came in 67% for Trump and 32% for Biden. So total, added up, 88,000 votes. Trump got 62% and Biden got 37%. No red flags went up right away. Like, okay, we're a Republican county, that sounds about right. But this is what they came to. A conclusion is election fraud. According to the law of large numbers, this is a statistical impossibility. With 5,000 plus ballots cast, there should be no more than a 3 to 4% difference between databases. The 16% difference between database number 1 is a total violation of the law of large numbers. Cast ballots never come in 50-50. And if you're familiar with any other forms of election machine fraud, 5149 is where you want it to be, because it's less than that, then it triggers an automatic recount. So there's a reason for that. Summary, database number 1 was used to skim off votes for Biden, 50-50. If you add them up, approximately 868 votes from a Republican county went to Biden that he should not have got. Mesa County actually voted 67% for Trump, not 51.4% as in database number 2, so they're also skimming votes there. So the 15% difference in votes in database 2, skimming more votes for Biden, another 1,429 votes. So even though Trump still won in Mesa County, and nobody knew this for a year later, Dominion Machine stole 2,297 votes for Biden out of that Republican county. So with 64 counties in Colorado, if you add that up, if they're doing this in 64 counties, that's enough to carry a state. So this is our concern. This is all available in the documentary Selection Code. It came out in 2022. It's available online if you'd like to see it for yourselves. And we just have real questions with Dominion voting machines. We'd like to request that you consider changing this and going back to paper ballots.
All right.
Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can I get some notes for you?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Karen Hewitt. Do y'all want to, okay, Pamela Van Alstyne?
Pamela Van Alstyne.
Alstyne, okay.
I'm going to be talking along the same lines, but I'm going to be talking about Georgia. All
Okay.
right.
We'll give you 4 minutes to talk, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I know it's been asked if we can even have the council, you guys, authorize the removal of Dominion or vote in paper ballots. The answer is Georgia Law 21-2-366. It's the authorization for utilization of optical scanning systems. The governing authority of any county, which is you folks, or municipality may at any regular meeting or at a special meeting called for the purpose by a majority vote, authorize and direct the use of optical scanning voting systems for recording and computing the vote at elections held in the county or municipality. If so authorized and directed, the governing authority shall purchase, lease, rent, or otherwise procure optical scanning voting systems conforming to the requirement of this part. Now, this law does cover the removal. We have a city in Fulton County called Milton. It's actually a municipality. Milton has done away within the last year with Dominion. And their thought process was because of the cost. And they were paying Fulton County to process all their ballots. So they stopped it. They no longer use Dominion for any of their hand counting. They do hand counting, they do the whole works. We also have 3 other cities, one being Peachtree City, that is also looking into it. This is just in Georgia. We as a county are looking into it for complete removal of the county to go back to hand ballots. The Georgia law states Dominion has been declared in violation of Georgia law by the U.S. District Court of Northern Georgia that Georgia is in violation of Law 21-2-300, which states that use of electronic technology to independently and privately mark a paper ballot at the direction of an elector, interpret ballot selection, communicate such interpretation for elector verification, and print an elector verifiable paper ballot and produce paper ballots which are marked with the elector's choices in a format readable by the elector. So I'm not sure if y'all remember when you get your ballot, after you've marked all your things and you hit print, and it comes out, you have a QR code. That is not readable. That is why the court in North Georgia called Dominion illegal. It is an illegal voting process. This is well aware of by our Secretary of State, but nothing has happened with it. Thus, voters in Bryan and every county in the state of Georgia who wish to vote in person are required to vote on a system that does not meet these requirements. The Dominion system does not produce a voter verifiable paper ballot. There is no way to tell who you voted for, and that's the problem. You know who you pushed on that, but is that what the QR code says? You don't know. And there's no way to find out if you know. I mean, if it is. You don't have a scanner at your hand, you have nothing, so you don't know. There's also been, this is also a bipartisan issue. It's not just a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. It's all of our issues. In DeKalb County, in the election of May 24th, 2022, there was a total of 12,639 machine-counted votes, with a person named Marshall Orson winning, and Michelle Long Spears coming in third. This was caught and corrected only after, and it was actually Ms. Spears that caught it. It was not anybody working, excuse me, at the elections office, okay? It was only Ms. Spears. She went to her precinct that both her and her husband voted at to check that the final tapes affixed to the front door. That's required. We have to have final tapes on our front doors of what our tallies are. When she got there, she looked at it, and it showed that nobody in that precinct voted for her, even though she knows for sure there's 2 that voted for her. So she took a photo of it. She went to her local media up in DeKalb County, and she started screaming for a recount. Guess what? They did a manual hand recount, and she ended up winning. Now, she was in third when this started. She ended up winning. So there is issues with this equipment, and we are wanting to have it removed. We know this will take time. It's not like a decide tonight, but we want you to understand this is where we're going. And I want to thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Karen Hewitt, you state your name and we'll give you 4 minutes.
Gotta get that down a little bit for me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I'm Karen Hewitt, and you've already, Tom has talked about Colorado and Pam has talked about Georgia. But that's just the tip of the iceberg in what is happening in the United States and the rest of the world. In January of this year, Claiborne County, Arkansas voted to go back to paper ballots. Each county has the right to make the decision, and it was determined that more are going to follow. Nye County, Nevada, the county commissioners unanimously voted to go back to paper ballots. In January of this year, Shasta County, California, cut ties with Dominion and voted to go 100% to hand-counted ballots. They said it was about trust. Right now, there are 4 other counties in California that are debating it, and they think that it will go. Lee County, Florida, Executive Committee just passed a resolution to get rid of the electronic voting machines, and it's right now being debated, so it's going through it right now. In June, Missouri Governor Parsons signed HB 1878 into law, making paper ballots the official ballots and ban electronic voting machines starting 1/1/24 for the whole state. In January, 3 states, New Hampshire, Texas, and Utah, are pushing for hand-counted ballots for the whole states. In the world, paper ballots are now used in 209 of 227 of the different countries. Germany, Netherlands, Ireland recently banned voting machines. Finland, Norway banned voting machines because of security concerns. Finland said the risks outweigh the benefits. Austria, not Australia. Greece, Spain, Italy, Portugal, Poland, Great Britain, Romania, Hungary, Cyprus, Malta, Iceland have gone to hand-counted. France uses hand-counted ballots by hand and no mail-in votes. Even Canada does not use the Dominion voting machines any longer. All 16 countries in Europe ban mail-in voting. There are so many accusations of voter fraud in the United States after the election that people have lost faith in our government and in the voting process. While Bryan County is one of the best in the state, we did a very good job with all of our voting. But it's still, I get a lot of phone calls, and especially out of Chatham County people, that there were a lot of problems in there. So we need to be the best in the state of Georgia and be the first to go back to hand-counted votes. I can almost guarantee that we will be used as a great example, and others will follow. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have Tedra Jakes. No, it says none, thank you. I don't know if they, not here? Okay, would anybody else like to speak? All right, we will take a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go into executive session for the purpose of litigation and personnel and real estate.
Second.
Second, all right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. We're going into executive session.
Make a motion, we open the meeting.
All right.
Second.
Second, all in favor, aye? Aye. And now we need a motion, we have one county administrator item on our agenda. Yep. We need to have a motion to table that. Do we need?
We're gonna close the 5:30 meeting.
Okay.
Special call.
All right. We need a motion to close our 5:30 meeting.
Let's do it.
Make a motion.
All right.
Close the 5:30 meeting.
Yeah. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now we need to open up our special called meeting to talk about condemnation, and we need to tax parcel 320900441B00 Billy Lewis.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I've requested of the board table that matter to the May agenda.
Okay?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we table the condemnation issue for tax parcel 032900441B00 Billy Lewis till the May meeting.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, that motion is tabled. That is tabled. Now we need a motion to adjourn our
Motion to
special
adjourn.
call meeting.
Second?
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.